From Atlanta News First Plus, this is Sports Tonight.
Beautiful skyline of Atlanta right there. Emily Gagnon here with Ellie Parker, who I promised would be here Tuesday. She was busy with elections, so now she's here on a Wednesday.
I'd much rather be here.
Yes, I mean, I'd much rather have you here. We've got so much to talk about. I always say this, don't I? We got so much to talk about. Well, we do on this Wednesday. And we're going to get started with Ron Washington, hired by the Angels. I guess I should first get your thoughts on it. Ellie, you love the MLB.
Yeah, and Ron Washington's a really respected name. He's coached in the World Series, won the World Series with Atlanta as the third base coach. He's been the third base coach for the Braves for the past few seasons. Obviously, this year, all four infielders on the Braves were all-star starters. Washington has been one of the most respected infield coaches in baseball. If you've ever seen Moneyball, tell him, Wash, it's incredibly hard. He's that guy.
Yeah.
And so I really do like this pick for the Angels. The Angels are an organization that is in quite a bit of flux right now. Shohei Ohtani is now a free agent. Mike Trout is somehow still the subject of trade rumors. People obviously are wanting either both of them out to places where they could win, or they want Artie Moreno to actually build a contender in Anaheim. But I think Ron Washington is a really good pick. I think that he can. That's a team that's getting younger, and I think that actually Ron Washington, even though he is now the oldest manager in baseball, at 71 years old, I think he can really help that team.
I was waiting for you to talk about 71. I mean, that is. I don't want to be disrespectful, but that's old, Ellie. 71 is old. But if you've been around Ron at all, you will know that he is like a 40-year-old. He has the energy of like a 20-year-old. That man shows up to work before everybody else. He leaves after everyone else. Baseball is quite literally his life. With the Rangers, he didn't do a bad job.
Nope.
He was with
Coached
them for
two
8
World
seasons.
Series.
Yeah. Obviously he had some issues with addiction, and we have not heard of any issues with that since. I mean, he cleaned up his act, and he's very deserving of this job. Players love him.
I don't think I've ever heard a bad story about Ron Washington.
You probably will never. He just shows up and works. And I think this is a massive loss, massive loss, because he really does help out quite a few of the guys on defense. And during the off season, he's from New Orleans. He has a home there. That's where he goes. And, he invites players to his home to train with him for like a couple weeks. You can come and do the whole 2-week thing with Ron Washington, and he'll improve your skill set. So it's not just during the season that he is a great coach. He continues to coach. And I truly believe, Ellie, that he just likes being a coach.
Yeah. He's 71 years old. Most people you would think would be retired, but no, he's still as spry as ever, still as energetic as ever, as you said. And, I think he was ready for another shot at the top job.
Deserving.
This is his first one since Texas.
Yeah, very, very deserving. And it's nothing to say as far as the Braves, like anything bad about the Braves. I think it's just like after being here since 2017, like you need to change.
Yeah.
And you want to go and you feel confident, especially after what the Braves have done, that you can like run it again, run your own joint again, and go out there. And I'm sure Snit is just so sad about this move, but and it will be interesting to see who they bring in to replace him, because to me he's not really replaceable. His attitude.
No, he's not.
Yeah. So it's not to say another coach can't come in here, coach well, and do good things with the Braves and its players, but he won't have the.
Yeah, there's only one Ron Washington. Like This is a loss for the Braves, no matter how you slice it.
Yep. So there very well could be more moves coming with the coaching staff. We'll definitely stay on top of that. But that is the first massive move that we've seen. Not only you and I talked about this Monday. Charlie Morton, signed his extension, his 5th-year option.
Some other options come and go. Kirby Yates and Colin McHugh's were declined.
Yeah.
Eddie Rosario's was declined.
Do you like that? We didn't talk about that. I'm indifferent about it.
On Rosario, I think they might try to get him back on something cheaper. Yates and McHugh, yeah.
You're good with that.
Yeah.
I'm good with that too. With Eddie, it's like you've seen him make some game-changing plays throughout his time in Atlanta and give this team a boost when it needed it most. So it's kind of hard to let go of a guy like that.
Yeah.
You know, like for me, if we go back to the year that they won the World Series, Soler, I mean, I would have tried to keep on to that guy. Like I would have held tight if I were the Braves organization.
I mean, the dude's a free agent right now. They could bring him back.
Yeah,
they could bring Soler back.
Oh, he was so good. And the Pearl guy. Jock Peterson. I mean, they just those three guys combined during that postseason run. It was like chef's kiss, Ellie. They just brought this energy to the clubhouse.
Really in trade deadline because Jock Peterson was a trade deadline pickup.
Yeah,
and he just brought this energy that frankly that team didn't have.
it was contagious
Yes.
too. The pearls, everything he did, the kids wanted to be him. I mean, I remember covering it, Ellie, where they sent me to like the Braves stores around the ballpark, and they were getting shipments and shipments of pearls brought in, and they would sell out just like that. Like they
Oh my
could not
God.
hold on to pearls long enough because everybody wanted to be Jock.
I love that.
Yeah, so you know those three guys to me were the difference makers during that postseason run. Not to say like, hey, Freddie Freeman, like, oh yeah, sure, the guys who like have been there, they were consistent and solid. But the guys who gave the boost, who got the offense going when it needed to, were those three men. And Soler's ball in Houston, we have yet to find it. I know that's like it's
Still in orbit.
Yeah,
It's
I know
still in orbit.
That's
It's
like
where it
a
is.
joke that will never end. But it's, I mean, I will always remember that play. Like I was like, where did that ball go? Like in just in the night.
It reminded me of another home run in Houston back in 2005. Albert Pujols, that massive shot that just again. Have they ever found that ball?
Yeah.
No.
It went a million feet, yeah.
It went a million miles, and Soler's was the same way. It was like, and that it was another one of those moments where it's like, okay, this series is over.
Yeah.
That was the moment where it was like, oh, it's the Braves to win.
Yeah. And that should have been a repeat this year, quite frankly, with how well they played during the regular season. But they went from really, really hot to cold really, really fast, even before the playoffs started. You know,
Yeah.
they just started.
It was once they won the division, they kind of just
Yeah.
sputtered out.
That's right. So hopefully that won't happen again for Braves fans. But, you know, you guys are Braves fans are diehard in the sense that, like, you know about Atlanta sports, you know about the history that happens here. You know that you can't have nice things.
The city is cursed.
Yeah. Moving on to United, Atlanta United. We talked about this yesterday. They won match 2 of the first round of the playoffs.
Look, having Thiago Almada on your squad actually makes a difference.
It does make a difference. He was suspended game 1 for having a red card, and he was back yesterday. He scored the 4th goal of the night. But Yorgos Giakoumakis, I mean, I cannot say enough about that guy. He has 18 goals on the season because he scored one last night, and he is the guy who got the first one. He got it going for
first two.
Atlanta United. And then he had 2 assists. So Gigi and Thiago together, that's a really good combination if they can actually play the way they did last night at the Benz. There was like 41 to 42,000 people there. Our sports director, Bailey Burmaster, was there. She said she had a ton of fun. And that's usually how those matches go. Like, those matches are so fun, Ellie. Have you been to one?
I've been to several. I go almost every chance I get.
It's special.
They're honestly my favorite thing to do here in Atlanta.
I tell people that. They're like, hey, when they come, like when my friends come to town, I'm like, hey, if United's playing, I'm like, you guys should definitely go to a match.
When my parents came down here for the first time since I took the job, it was like, okay,
Did they like it?
We have to go to a match, and it was a 0-0 draw with the Philadelphia Union last year,
Okay.
and it was they absolutely loved it. Like it United matches are one of those things where it's like, even if you're not a soccer fan, you're either going to walk out of that building a soccer fan, or you're at the very least going to have a really good time.
Yeah, and I always tell people, I'm like, it's like a college football game on crack.
Yes.
Because like people just
Yes.
stand and jump, and it goes by fast. So in the sense, you don't have to sit there for 4 hours. If you have a kid, your kid can go enjoy 2 hours and take them home.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so for me, I think that's real legit. But I definitely think that being at home, and I want to get your take on this, helped them last night. It
Oh,
gave them
sure.
yeah. So now they have to go
because
back on the
Columbus
road.
has been a far better team at their home in Columbus than they have been on the road.
Yeah.
Which is why I don't think Atlanta's going to win Game 3 because it's back in Columbus. But yeah, the home cooking definitely helped. You know, that crowd always helps. You know, they are ride or die for all of their guys. Even Miguel Almiron, when he came back this summer as part of Newcastle
Yeah.
for the preseason, when he scored that. God, that roar is like lodged in my brain.
Yeah, it's a great place to watch MLS soccer, and the World Cup is
Yeah.
coming here for a reason. The FIFA personnel that came and visited it and toured it were just so impressed with what that arena, or I shouldn't say arena, but what that stadium has to offer.
We're not going to get the final, but I'm of the opinion that we absolutely should.
We are homers, aren't we? But yeah, so you said you don't think, and we'll move on after this. You don't think Atlanta United pulls it off?
No,
7
I think
p.m.
Columbus
Sunday.
is. I think Columbus is too good at home for Atlanta to come in and take the win. Hopefully, obviously they do, and they pull it off and move on to the next round. But I don't think that's going to happen.
And I asked Fred this yesterday, and I want to ask you this too. Do you think that there'll be any changes if they do lose, get eliminated in the first round? Do you think there will be changes to the coaching staff or perhaps even the front office?
Coaching staff, yes. Front office, no.
Okay.
I
so
think Gonzalo Pineda could go. I think they could seek to go in another direction. I don't think they're going to get rid of Garth Lagerwade just yet.
no,
only
he's
been
not
here for
going
like a
anywhere.
year.
Yeah, he's not going anywhere. But what about Bocanegra, TD, the technical director?
Yeah, I think he could.
Yeah. I mean, I have no problem with Carlos. I think he's done a fine job.
I think he's done a fantastic
Yeah,
job.
he's been
I
there
think
since
part of
day
it is
one.
the expectation.
Yeah.
Just
That's hard. After you lose, after you win everything in year 2 of your inception, and then you just kind of like drop off after that, and they've been through manager after manager after manager. Tata was just the best. I mean, he was the very best. So, moving on to the Falcons, they practiced today, getting ready for the Cardinals. The 1-8 Cardinals, they're going there. They're going to Phoenix to play them, or I should say, it's not Phoenix. It's
Glendale.
Yes. With like the coolest stadium ever, where they bring the grass in and out.
That is extremely cool.
So they don't have to play on turf. You know, for anybody who doesn't know, the stadium, the grass is wheeled out so it can have sun all week, and then wheeled back in for game time. Very, very cool. They've played like when Florida beat Ohio State, I wish Scott were here, years ago with Tim Tebow and Chris Leak and Urban Meyer. I can name the whole team. It was at that stadium on real grass. Very, very cool atmosphere. But anyways, Kyler Murray is going to be backed. He had an injury, his ACL. This is his first game
That said,
back.
Modern Warfare 3 did just come out. I'm not sure how effective he's going to be.
Right. But you don't even need to be effective against the Falcons nowadays.
True.
Let's be honest here. And then their little running back is back too, off of IR. So Connor. So how are you feeling? I think we talked about this Monday, but now that we've
They
had
have to win this game. How do you lose to
Before
the
the bye.
1-8 Cardinals?
Yeah.
No, you don't do that.
and what's
To the
interesting,
deliberately tanking
yeah.
Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, and that's true. But for the Falcons, right, they have this defense that came out and played so good and so improved at the beginning of the season, and they've just not looked good the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
And again, it's going to be interesting. Arthur Smith said something along the effect today of obviously Heineke's getting his second straight start with the Falcons.
As he should.
Yeah, and after this game, though, they have a bye. So they're going to get together during the bye. The coaching staff is. I'm sure Terry Fontenot will be there as well. And they will decide which of the two are going to play the rest of the season. And they're going to stick with that guy. So coming back from the bye, so after this weekend, win, lose, draw, they're going to get together for the week before their next game. And they're going to decide if it's going to be Heineke or if it's going to be Ritter. And they're not making any changes unless there's an injury from here on out. Do you like that? It won't be a carousel. They don't want that. They don't want it to be like a carousel of 1 week you're in, 1 week you're out. They want the guy to be confident. And
anything, how it's not Heineke is the problem. Unless he completely bombs.
so if Heineke loses, right? If they lose Sunday, even though, and let's just pretend Heineke has a great game. Do we think,
I think if he has a great game, he stays on. Like,
even if they lose?
yes.
Okay. All right, I respect that. It'll be interesting because everybody's job could be on the line right now, from the coaching staff down, and because you just don't know, right? You've been with the Falcons for 3 years now. Arthur Blank, the owner, says there was a 3-year plan coming in, so this is the 3-year plan, Ellie. We are here. So does the 3-year plan become a 4-year plan? I don't know. During training camp, that's quite literally. I should find the interview. Quite literally, what Arthur Blank said. He's like, "This is a 3-year plan that they put together, and here we are."
Yeah.
So, anything could happen. You could shave your mustache all you want, but that's not going to bring you wins to your team. All right, moving along to college football playoff rankings. The second one came out last night. The Dogs are number 2 in the country. Are you the one who told me you did not think that they were going to jump Ohio State?
Yes.
Yeah, I knew that was.
I was right.
You were right. I thought the Dogs might jump Ohio State because they had just come off of a win against a ranked opponent, your Mizzou Tigers. Ohio State struggled on the road at Rutgers, an unranked Rutgers. So there's no movement,
frankly,
though.
Rutgers should be ranked.
Yeah, they're not bad. They're not bad. You know what, Ellie? You're right about that. I'm going to second.
This is not a. You say they're unranked. This is not the classic 2-11 Rutgers. This is a pretty solid Rutgers team.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with Rutgers. Do you want to know something? In 2017, I believe it might have been 2018. Don't mark my words for the year, but I do know this happened. I went to the University of South Florida, USF, and USF was the number 2 team in the country, and they went to Rutgers on a Thursday night. And do you think the Bulls? I'm the Bull. The Bulls have ever been ranked that high in the history of their very young program?
They were ranked that high in 2007.
2007. So maybe that was what I'm talking about, and not 17. So 2007 might be it, Ellie. But they went to Rutgers on a Thursday night. Wouldn't you know, Rutgers beat their butt. And I remember
2007 was just a chaotic year.
And I remember, I don't know if that was the year that they played at Auburn. I was at that game, and USF beat Auburn in Auburn. And I was like, oh my God.
I want to say that was the year that they beat Auburn.
Yeah. So, but then they went to Rutgers and couldn't handle the hype. And so I went from talking mad junk to everybody to just not picking up my phone. I was like, I can't do it. But yeah, great point when it comes to Rutgers. Though the top 4 this week, we'll just go back to that really quickly, stays the same. Ohio State, Georgia. Is it FSU at 3? Or is it... I know Washington.
Michigan 3, FSU 4.
That's correct. And then you've got, on the outside looking in, you've got Washington, Oregon.
Texas, Alabama.
And Ole Miss. So Ole Miss, Georgia is going to be a top 10 matchup. I don't remember who's number 10. I don't know if you do. But quite a few SEC teams there in the top 10.
Including one future SEC team.
Yeah. Mizzou didn't drop that much.
No, only to 14, which I'll take.
Yeah. But yeah, so, any takeaways other than the fact that you were right about Georgia not jumping Ohio State?
I mean, my one takeaway is that frankly, I think the committee was right just to not move the top 8. I think those top 8 teams are pretty clearly the 8 best in the country, I think. I think Washington and Oregon could be flipped. I would put Oregon in the 4.
Okay.
I don't entirely trust Florida State at this point.
You don't? But they're undefeated, so that's
They're
hard,
undefeated,
right?
but their schedule has not been...
Okay.
Where you have Washington and Oregon, who have played good teams. Obviously, Washington beat Oregon. But as Fred said last night, I think Oregon is a better team than Washington.
Yeah, a lot of people seem to have that sentiment. But, you can't argue the fact that Dan Lanning and his Ducks did not beat Washington, even though they were on the road when it mattered most. So it was a tight game, though, very tight game, very good game. Lee Smith, actually, who comes on the show quite a bit, he was saying how he thinks Bo Nix might actually, he should have some votes for the Heisman.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely should be
so
contention for the Heisman.
I don't have So I'm a Heisman voter. I don't really have a clear-cut favorite, and if I did, I don't share until after the vote. But like right now, honestly, like week after week, I keep saying like who would be like my top 3 choices.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a clear-cut top 3.
And Ellie, just so you know, I don't know if you've ever seen a ballot before, but it's blank spaces. So it's just 1, 2, 3 lines, and you could put whoever you want. So it's not like the best 50 players, voted in by whoever that you're, voting from. You literally write in the name of the person who you think is deserving from any school you want in the country. So that's what I like about the Heisman vote is the fact that you can vote anybody in that you think is qualified to be, in that award, whatever, in the running for that award. What's on your mind, my girl? Because I think we're going to go to some sound, right, of Arthur Smith?
Yes.
Okay.
Returning to Ron Washington real quick.
Okay.
And breaking that news. Jeff Passan. Oh no.
Oh no.
The tweet.
Oh no.
Included a naughty word. And
Which we will not include.
We will not include. We will not put up. I will not put up that.
Yeah.
That tweet and post because it was just a very funny typo and he spun it into the opportunity to tell a very cool story about Ron Washington and baseball Twitter is a place that is riddled with typos. Jeff Passan is not usually the guy to make them, but when he does, he always seems to. When he makes a mistake, he always seems to take it in stride, and he seems to be a pretty positive guy. And he turned a very funny incident into a pretty positive story about Ron Washington. So that's what's on my mind.
All right, Ellie, not sports related. On my mind is I have jury duty tomorrow for the first
Oh,
time
no!
ever. Okay,
Oh.
I'm not going to give my age or anything, but this Canadian is now a dual citizen. It took me quite some time, and I have been rewarded with jury duty.
Rewarded.
So yeah, so 8:30 tomorrow, I'll be checking it out. I have no clue how it goes.
Godspeed.
But I will next week talk about my experience, just so everybody knows what it's like, the gifts that you get for being an American citizen. Which, by the way, I love living here. This is just a joke. But have you done it before? Have you done?
No, I've gotten out of it.
You've escaped?
Each time that I've been called.
Good for you. Well, guys, be with me. May the Lord be with me. All right, now let's get to some Arthur Smith sound from earlier today. The Falcons getting ready for the 1-8 Cardinals this weekend, Sunday, 1:00. From where, Ellie? Glendale or Scottsdale?
Glendale.
Yeah. Okay.
I know just about D-Led, you asked about the keys, right, this week. Just, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of things. Every week's different challenges. There's things that you continually look to work on, and we've got to improve. And, going out to Arizona, they'll have Kyler Murray back, right? They just took him off, the IR, and so I'm sure he'll be ready to go. And there's always something every week, right? So, what showed up last week in terms I'm sure they'll try to attack is mobile quarterback, play extensions. We got to get, there's stuff we've done well early in the year. Well, it comes up, and it's always a work in progress. So we got to make sure we contain him. He's been dangerous throughout his career. We got to do a better job of tackling in that regard. And we know that he's a weapon. I'm sure they're excited to get him back. And then defensively, they, present a lot of unique challenges. They've got a really good third down package, a lot of different looks they throw at you. In the run game, you see a lot of multiple fronts. The middle part of that defense, especially on the back end, with starting about Buda Baker, it's a salty group, and they try to give you different looks. And like I said, they'll throw different things at us. I'm sure to try to knock us off track, and things that have hurt us, I'm sure will come back up. And we got to fix that as well.
Any update on Drake London and the other injured players?
Yeah, so Drake will be positive. He'll be working back into practice today. There'll be a couple guys that we think are close. They'll be working off to the side, with Helms and Mack and D, and we'll just have to see. Obviously need to see those guys do something by the end of the week. But that's positive with Drake. At least that's trending in the right direction. So going to this game, for the most part, pretty healthy, and as guys continue to improve, and that's what we also want to see. We got to hit our stride here as we go to this last half of the season.
In terms of Deshaun and how you use him in the red zone, we talked about it.
Sure.
What is it maybe that he does or doesn't bring in the red zone that's kind of led to him not getting a lot of the work?
Well, I think a lot of it, again, the results are what they are. And Mike said this is kind of a, if you don't mind, I'll give some context to it. Because again, a smart friend of mine too, we were talking about nuance and context, and sometimes, two things could be true at once. One, when you haven't gotten the results you want, you should be criticized and be objective. And I talked about it being objective, so what does that mean? So you got to go look at things that didn't work. Why you did something, what your intent is. Okay, well, why is the result? So you got to look at your mistakes and your failures and say, all right, this is what our intent, what you're thinking about, or how do I objectively fix that? And that's what you got to be really honest. That's the only way you improve. So whether you're coaching or you're a player or you're in any other industry, that's real. And that's what we strive to do every week. Obviously, we've never thought of perfect, so you look at the red zone. We've had 28 trips. We've scored touchdowns on 14 of them, so that's half, 50%. Not where you want to be. You obviously want to score every time, but historically, if you're in the mid to high 60s, you're usually up there and leading the league. Some of the years we were really good in Tennessee, we were damn near at 75%, but that's kind of, you just want to strive to be 100. And that's what you're aiming for. So you're at 50 there, so 28 trips. And other than, we've had to kick field goals 9 times. 2 of them were situational, win the game, right? Green Bay, Houston. So those are 2. So the other 7, we had 3 fumbles, right down in Tampa. So a lot, turnover on downs that we had down in Jacksonville to try to cut it, 6.5 to the 4th down on the sprint out to Drake. So you look at all this. So we have 99 plays, give or take, and that's including things that have been nullified by penalties, whether it's offense, pre-snap, or even defensive penalties. So you'll say, what's your intent? What are you targeting? Right, so we have a lot of guys that we think are good players on this team. So it's not just Bijan, but it's all those guys. So a lot of times in the drop back, maybe the number 1 read was Kyle, maybe it was Drake. Well, they have a say, they took it away, and you've got a pressure attacker on the other side, so the ball went there. Or unfortunately you got sacked or something negative happened. So having said all that, that's not an excuse, so it's just a reality. And the intent is, he among other people, when we've been in sync, it's been pretty good. And there's been some zone reads. That's been a really good play for us, right? So play, if he hands it, going to him. Well, we pulled it, and that's been a pretty positive play for us down there. Tyler, in the situation, Algier, he's been pretty damn good on goal line runs, short yardage. Again, nothing's perfect. And then where you're using other guys. Some of the times you build in run alerts. Maybe you're going to CP, maybe you're going to Bijan, Jonnu, or whoever. And so you look at it, and you look at 99 plays. Not all of them count because of penalties, or some of them in 2-point. It's been pretty balanced. He's been at the tip of the spear at most of them. Now, the ball hasn't gone to him every time. It's not going to go to every player every time because we've got a lot of good players. So it's my job to make sure that we're better than 50%. And that's what, ultimately, we got to score more points than the opponent, and we want to strive to score every time we're down there. That's how it shakes down. I can get a lot more verbose, but don't want to lose everything or sound like I'm making excuses. That's the reality of it. So again, our intent, try to be very balanced. We've used everybody. He has scored. He's led to a lot of points, some of it, whether he's gotten the ball or not. And then other times, like with all our players, we got to find other ways to make sure we're more lethal down in the red zone. And that's the way we look at it. And so we're striving, look at it, you look at your intent. Okay, if it hadn't been good enough, how do we fix it? And that is the number 1 job that I have to do. And you have to be accountable for it. And there's nobody that runs from that. That's the blunt reality. And so that's every week. And so if you have an issue in protection, or you're not tackling well enough, or you're losing contain, that's in every phase. But I know this: we have the right guys in the locker room. We have the right staff. So this on Monday, we're not excited about where we're at, but we're not dead and we're not out of it, and we get the chance to go do something about it. And that's what you want. You don't want adversity, but you're going to tell you a lot about yourself. When we've been in it, players and coaches, you're going to find out more about yourself than anything else, and that's what we embrace. Is that good enough? I know I was long-winded, but I tried to at least give the context. No, it is, but it's an open forum. I mean, there's nothing to hide about.
All right, guys, welcome back in Sports Tonight. That was Arthur Smith getting ready for the Cardinals, the Falcons heading there this weekend. Any last thoughts? You got like 10 seconds, Ellie.
Not much for me.
Nothing? You gave me everything you had? Mm-hmm. All right, so you'll be back on me next week?
Yep.
I can depend on you. All right, guys, and I'm going to tell a story next week about goats and cats and dogs next time we're on together. But everyone, I hope you guys have a great night. And, we'll see what happens this weekend with the dogs and the Falcons and all the people. Good night.
Good night.